It's going. All right. Okay. Welcome. It's Monday. Houston, we have a problem. Livecast 138. Got one dog. Oops. Didn't get the dogs there. Well, there we go. She's now in the zone. Other dog's behind me, laying out. If you can see him. Nope, you can't see him. He's behind my chair. Being a big doofus like usual. One of these. Okay, so I guess the big news of the day is that the Twitter board caved, and Elon's going to be buying every single share in existence for $54 and change. He partnered with some creepy weirdos and managed to come up with $45 billion to do this. I guess they stopped trading Twitter at the end of the day. I've got 3 calls just in case this went through, and I have no idea what that means for those calls. I don't know. But they stopped trading right at the end of the day on news, and it's around $51 and change. I honestly don't know what this means for the future. None at all. We might have ourselves a situation like when Yahoo bought Tumblr and then ruined it. Bought it for what, $1.1 billion and then sold Tumblr for $3 million. Oops. We might be in that kind of range, or maybe something that'll take off. But I do know that not everybody's Elon's biggest fan, and that a lot of people have already started leaving Twitter. I don't know where they're going because Facebook sucks, and every other social media seems to really suck ass. TikTok's owned by the Chinese. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure we'll see once it becomes a private company. And everyone, gets their stocks removed from their accounts and replaced with cash for $54. So, wait and see, I guess. Chinese markets taking a huge crash. Chinese bonds are selling. Some of them are selling like 2 cents on the dollar. It looks like China's economy may start to actually contract as a result of what's going on over there. Russia has lots of strategic places catching on fire. Military oil depot and a Rosneft oil depot both exploded early this morning and are burning. Well, dogs. Everything else to add? Is that the big stuff? It might have been the big stuff. I should always recheck what I wrote. Oh yeah, the plunge protection team seemed to be working hard today. Keeping the SPY afloat when other markets were just fall off a cliff. And Finland and Sweden are joining NATO. They're going to be submitting applications at exactly the same time and joining NATO. And Russia's like, don't you dare. And I think both Sweden and Finland are like, what are you going to do about it? And Russia's like, nothing. Hey, big dog. Don't you put your hand on the keyboard. Yeah, you don't put your head on the keyboard, buddy. Just go lay down again. Yeah, you just look at me with those doughy eyes, those big dopey doughy eyes. Okay, to the chat. All right, Legacy Productions, Houston. People are pretty stoked and joyful after this bullish metamaterial Twitter space convo yesterday with special guest John Berta. Have a chance to listen. I have not yet. I've been sent the link. I need probably won't get a chance till later this evening to listen to it. But I guess the synopsis was they got shorted a whole bunch. They complained to the SEC, and the SEC was like, "Ooh." So that may throw a big wrench into that crappy Pomerantz law firm bogus lawsuit thing that they're trying. That's just not going to go anywhere. Okay, Magus Creed. They need more science nerds. Oh yeah, I was talking about my show. Not my show. The show I was invited to be a part of. So they do episodes, like each show is a different episode of experts. So it might be astronomy, it might be geology, it might be American history, it might be ancient history, whatever. And I guess they didn't find enough fellow nerds in my fields of expertise to do the episodes on those yet. So they're going to film like 6 episodes on some other topics they're able to find some nerds for, but aren't necessarily in my purview. So, we'll be doing that later. Just stop trying to put your head on. No, don't put your head in the keyboard. Don't put your head in the keyboard. Okay. No. You want to so bad. Okay. Michael Mystery, what is your preferred shirt size? I like larges. This one's an extra large. It's gives me a little bit of squirrel suit, but larges are perfect. That works well for me. Because if I happen to ever go back into Buff Houston stage, then it just form fits really well. Otherwise, it just works. Andrew Stewart, Houston, someone said on Reddit that MMTLP is close only on Fidelity. Heard anything about this? What mean? It's been that way for probably 2 weeks now. So they stopped allowing you to buy. Although some people have said if you call, you can get permission to buy. But outside of that, that's what you got. It never should have been traded in the first place. And I think they may have felt some pressure from regulators to go, stop trading this thing. It was never supposed to trade in the first place. Curious one, if you were Cohen, would you launch a preemptive move to skyrocket the price prior to the Rule 3 potential installation? Trust me, I trust GME long term, but I sure would prefer a fairy tale ending for all of us. I'm curious to see what kind of little news tidbits that they're going to be dropping, like after trading on Thursdays or something. Yeah, that's a good question. Like, what little tidbits? We know that the official launch of Gmerica will happen, and we got what, 6 weeks between now and the shareholders meeting. So that gives, I'm sure there's gonna be a couple of tidbits in there. Today's 25th. Shareholders meeting's gonna be on the 2nd. Yeah, 6 weeks. So 6 weeks and change. I'm curious to see what they're going to be doing. Don't you put your hand on the keyboard, dog. Come on, stop. But Rule 3 has another 2 weeks plus of comments, and the comments are overwhelmingly don't do this. They're going to have a hard case to make for passing that rule. When the rule should just be don't naked short. That should be the rule. Make that rule 004. No naked shorting. Done. Sad Boy Incorporated, Houston, what do you think of 11/22/63 TV show on Hulu and the assassination of JFK? Was the Russians, the CIA, bloodthirsty Ted Cruz? We'll love to hear your thoughts. Also, and update UVXY. UVXY has been getting hammered by the plug protection team, so I think there's no meaningful update on UVXY. As for the assassination, I haven't seen the show, but assassination of JFK was squirrely. It didn't help that Jack Ruby killed Oswald before anyone could ask him anything. Although bolts do tumble. Could there be multiple shooters? Seems redundant. Another theory is that there were multiple groups set up to assassinate him on the same day because, opportunity with open car driving through a public with tall buildings around, that there may have been multiple groups trying to do the same thing. But why would they all fire at the same time? That seems weird. Although one of the coolest technologies I remember seeing from YouTube was they have that smoothing technology where you can pick something to center and then everything else can move around it, but that thing's centered. And looking at the Magruder footage, not shaky, was really cool to see. I like that. All right. Donnell, thanks for making me learn about bodegas. I didn't know how many were actually around me. There's an ongoing joke about how New Yorkers don't understand that bodegas are just like 7-Elevens. They're just convenience stores, but they think they're these like magical places that don't exist elsewhere in the world. And they're like, I can leave my house at 2 o'clock in the morning and get a sandwich at a bodega. And everyone's like, yeah, dude, we've got convenience stores in our neighborhoods too. We just don't call them bodegas. But my mom, who grew up in New Jersey, the other day asked me what a bodega was. And I was like, you grew up there? I refused to answer her. She still doesn't know. She's going to live in ignorance for the rest of her life. Jay, Corn on the Cob, you two updated, and now I have confetti when I hit the like button. Oh, boy. That sounds exciting. All right. Parataran, Houston, thoughts on the 4th or 5th for the launch time of the marketplace matches Cohen's Piñata Hola tweets. Yeah, there's been rumors that it will be Cinco de Mayo. What day is the 4th, 5th? That'd be Tuesday next week? Right? No. What day? No, sorry. It would be Thursday next week. Thursday. It's like the wrong part of the calendar. They like to do things on Thursdays. You launch that stuff Thursday. You let everything go nuts on a Friday when shares can go in the money. So, seems like a good plan to me. Why not? David S., I decided to DRS all my shares, previously only 30%, and get the dividend shares for sure, then transfer back to Fidelity. I have verified I can do this. All right. There you go. David S. Going that way. Does it cost money? How much does it cost you to do that? Someone was saying that every time you DRS a share, it costs GameStop $25 to do it that way. I'm curious to see if that's true. I don't know. Nerds. Houston, I was traveling back from New York to Chicago yesterday and had a Citadel employee on my flight. I could tell because the carry-on backpack had their logo. Are they shooting bricks because of the marketplace? Well, I'm sure they're concerned. I mean, if they took on all that obligation from Melvin, if they're like, all right, Melvin, you give it to us, you'll survive another day, and here's $2 billion or whatever, they might be shitting the bricks. There's a lot of liability tied up in that. You know, they launch the marketplace. Months later, they get the vote approved for the authorization of shares, and then a month after that, you know, the world ends. As far as I'm concerned, for them. Sad Boy Incorporated, Houston. Can you Houston statistics? Can you explain when to use one-tailed versus two-tailed Z and T tests? Oh man. Okay. This is going to be a very, very hand-wavy explanation. I need to go to there. Paint. Okay. So if you're doing statistics, and come on, show up. All right, there's my mouse. Okay, brushes, boom. Make a nice thick one so everyone can see. So you have a distribution of data, and you've got some sort of curve, right? Some sort of bell curve. And your axis does something like that. You got your mean is somewhere in here. So if it's a fairly even bell curve, your test is to figure out if your p-value, and let's find the p-value. P-value is like a threshold to see if your mean is legit or not. So you might select a p-value of like 0.05, so 5% of all your data, which means you cut off 2%, 2.5% here, 2.5% there, and you figure out the volume of the curve for these two things, and then you want to see how far away they are from your mean. So if they're pretty equal distance from your mean, then you probably have a pretty good test going. If you have a weird one that does something like this, right? And you do your p-values, and your p-values end up doing your two tails here, but your mean is somewhere in here, and there's a big difference between these two, then there might be something wrong with your data, and you may have to go back and look at how you collected it or what it means necessarily. That's the two-tailed test. A one-tailed test is kind of similar if you're just looking at like one. Oh, dude, I didn't go like that. Okay, if you're just looking at come on, go back to that. If you have your thingamajiggy, you have your mean in here somewhere. The one-tailed, you might look at a larger portion, maybe 5% of all your data at one end. And this is to see if this 5% happens to cover too much of the data between your mean and this extreme end of your data set. It's just different ways of testing to see if your mean is legit or not. That's all there is to it. And your data set may not necessarily be perfect curves like this. You may have distributions of like, I don't know, male and female populations of birds. You have two different size things, and you'll get different shapes involved in there. That is the worst hand wavy explanation I could possibly give you without getting into the calculus of the area under the curves and that stuff. So, oh motherfucker, god damn it. You got me, sad boy. You got me. I made it 2 weeks. I made it 2 whole weeks. I fucked up. So my record stays at 6. All right. Center my chi. I'm worried when Scott finishes my Houston After Dark intro that I'm going to make a mistake and there's going to be like battling intros playing at the exact same time. I don't know how to avoid that. Oh, okay. Meow meow. You're early today. 2 demerits. Okay. Sad boy got me. We should keep a running tab of who gets me. Sad boy gets a point. All right. Flubber, 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 can't you see? Hey, Houston, how much faith do you have in our brokers to not F us in the squeeze? I also heard you talk bad about some UK brokers. Can you please tell us which ones are bad? Thanks, man. Oh, man. UK brokers, I don't remember all their names and exactly how they do everything. But a lot of brokerages that are outside the United States, when you buy a U.S. traded stock, you may not actually have that stock in your brokerage account. It may actually be this weird tie to a holdings company that actually has the stock. So let's say you bought GameStop and you're with 212 or someone. It's only UK one I can think off the top of my head at the moment. And let's say that you talk to your broker, like, hey, broker, how come I'm not allowed to vote? And they're like, oh, because you don't actually own the share. We do. We just give you this little permission that says you can trade this share if you want. And that's because what 212 or whoever would do is they make a holdings company in the U.S., they purchase that share, and then they make this strange little loose tie between your account in the UK and this holdings account that shows like, yeah, these 2 shares are purchased because this person wanted those shares. Not all of them work that way, and not all overseas traders work exactly the same. If you are in Germany, GameStop trades on the Frankfurt exchange as well, so you can buy GameStop on that exchange during Frankfurt trading hours, not necessarily U.S. hours. So I would ask your broker specifically as to, do they physically put the shares in your brokerage account, or is it one of those weird holding companies? And other UK investors are probably in here, and they might be able to tell you which ones they have and what they've been told. So I'd look into that for sure. Christina Spy, can you explain the whole GME dividend voting thing again? This has been living under a rock. Well, if you've got shares in GME, eventually your broker will send you a proxy voting packet. You probably do online. It says, hey, submit your vote. And they'll give you the things that are being voted on for the shareholders meeting, and you click, send it in, and you voted. And the big thing we're voting on is authorization of shares, increasing the amount of authorized shares there are. So right now there's 300 million authorized shares, of which 76 million and change are what are traded on the market, meaning that GameStop has another 224 million that they could, if they ever wanted to, sell or give away. But what they want is they want to increase that 300 million to 1 billion and then use a huge chunk of that 1 billion to offer a dividend in the form of shares. So we are voting on whether they can change the authorization from that 300 million to 1 billion. So that's what we're doing. Pankaj Kumar, Houston, is there any chance the U.S. government can make some deal with RC and hide this MOAS forever? I don't think RC would want that deal. I think deep down inside, he wants to see the shorts hurt. He wants to see them punished for the system they have created. And I think that's what he cares about. I think as far as like the markets are concerned, he wants the shares the shorts to be just obliterated. He wants GameStop to be a viable company and the shorts to leave everybody alone and let companies be companies. And I don't think he would strike a deal with the U.S. government in that way. Hoshi Gaming, Houston. I began teaching Japanese to a little 9-year-old kid and love it. Any good resources you know of or any way I can keep the flame curiosity lit? Being a teacher is rewarding. Stories. You want the little kid to be really interested in stories. Do I have... I have to go to the other room. One sec. Ugh. There. I don't think it's on this shelf. I may have given it to my little sister. No. Where's my book of Japanese folktales? Where are you? Eh, crap. I'm not finding it. Alright. Never mind. That was a minute of you guys staring off the nothingness wasted. I have a book of Japanese folktales somewhere that has the word-for-word English translation on one page and then the kanji and katakana on the other. I can't read Japanese, but my little sister can. And when she was taking Japanese in high school, I gave it to her to read all the time, and she might have it now. It's been a long time. I don't know. Anyway, get them reading. Even at like, you know, low levels. And that way they're going to be like, oh man, this is awesome. And listening to music. One great way to learn another language is to like listen to music, memorize the lyrics, and then look the lyrics up. Find out what they mean. I remember I worked in a kitchen with this guy from Guatemala who spoke perfect English, no accent, despite only learning when he was a teenager. And I asked him, like, how did you learn English so well? And he said, I was really into like Tupac and Biggie, and I loved listening to rap music. And he's like, I memorized everything. I had no idea what those words meant. But I memorized all the albums. I could say all the words. And then he said, one day I eventually just looked at the liner notes and started like reading what the words were and looking up the meaning. And that's how he learned English. It was entirely from rap music. So that's probably a, you know, get them listening to like the Pizzicato 5 or something. Maybe drone metal from Boris. I don't know what 9-year-olds are into. G-Font YYC Houston, thoughts on the tinfoil article I shared with you about the financial industry before COVID? Also, did you check out the Cicada 3301 puzzle? Thanks. I did not check out the Cicada puzzle, but I did read the article about how the financial industry was absolutely screwed prior to 2020, and they were. There was lots of stuff about. Let's see if I can find one of those older articles. Oops. That's not how you do it. Okay. No. Where are you? Okay, here's one. This is an SEC. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm looking at because I forgot to turn on the doohickey. That's why. Okay. That one? Done. Nope. Wait. Not this one. Why'd I click on that one? I wanted... Oh, okay. That's what I wanted. Inside that is basically corporate debt. Oops. No. Not that one. Oh, sorry. Corporate debt went from 3.6 trillion to 6.5 trillion in essentially 10 years. That's a lot. I bet it's so much more than that right now. I bet in the last 2 years it's probably doubled again. Because there's a lot of companies that were not viable during COVID and they survived on nothing but debt. Think your travel industries, your tourism industries, cruises, restaurants, maybe not fast food restaurants, they did bang business. But corporate debt just is bonkers. And these companies, prior to COVID, were using their corporate debt to do stock buybacks to inflate their prices. Because their C-level executives get bonuses based upon the price of the stock. So if they do a corporate buy, they take out debt to do stock buybacks to introduce buying pressure to the market to raise the price of the stock while reducing the float. Then, if there's a price target for a stock to be $85, they're going to work their way until they get the $85, and boom, when the target hits that, the executives get a big windfall. And so they're working on that kind of pressure. We probably as a country need to stop making target prices for stocks something that executives work for, and perhaps just growing the company, improving the company in general. Because what happens is they ignore the fundamentals of the company. They will forego research and development or investing into expansion or emerging markets or upgrading logistics or machinery or renovating storefronts, things like that. They'll forego doing that and use the money that should be used for that to do stock buybacks to jack the price up. And this sort of falls into our entire thesis behind the companies that get shorted, is they may have a group of executives whose entire job it is to boost the stock price, get it up, get a bunch of bonuses, woohoo, but at the expense of the fundamentals of the company. And then the short hedge funds go, this company is not investing in their future. They're investing instead in their executives. So I think the stock price is going to go down when customers leave them or they can't deliver on their products. And so that might be when the beginning of the short attack happens, is these guys are flying high. They ignored all their fundamentals. Now we can move in and attack the hell out of them and drive that stock price down because they've got so much debt from borrowing to do stock buybacks that they can't battle us at that point forward. So I think it's just an unhealthy system being balanced on either side there. But yeah, the $16 trillion that were pumped into the economy in 2020 during the pandemic, I think saved the economy from crashing for these fundamental reasons. I don't think it was too outside the realm of possibility there. G-Font. Okay, Paratarian, what is your favorite geological thing that isn't found on Earth? Probably the volcanoes of Io. Io is the only mountain, celestial body. That's the word I'm looking for. Celestial body that we can see actual volcanics happening. We know volcanics happen on Venus, but Venus is through all these thick clouds, and you can't actually like take a picture of it. But we know it's happening. Mars used to have volcanoes; those shut off billions of years ago. We know there's volcanoes on like Ganymede and Europa, but those are under big, thick things of ice. Whereas Io is this tiny little moon of Jupiter that is trapped between Jupiter and the three other Galilean moons. And the tidal forces end up like tugging this thing, squishing it a lot one way or the other. And so it creates this really hot friction environment inside, and it spews volcanics all day long. It's small enough that anything that was water vapor disappeared a long time ago, so its volcanoes are nice and visible. And we've got tons of pictures from probes sent out there to orbit that just show these things just firing out sulfur and other magmatic material. And it's just gorgeous. They're just erupting constantly. So, yeah, that's what I dig. Probably my favorite. Ham fingers, what are your thoughts on sundial? They grow weed? If the federal government finally legalizes, or what's the term? Regulates? No. What's the controlled substances list? They delist it from the controlled substances list, then I'm sure that these pot stocks are going to skyrocket. But until then, you know, they're in that wishy-washy zone where it doesn't. You can buy it here in Washington or in California, but if you go to Texas, you're going to prison, and that's not. Until it's legal everywhere, it's not going to scream, I don't think. Talkable TV Houston, just dropping by. That McNeil Island video is nuts. Watching the dark adds a little spooky. Yeah, I watched a couple minutes of it. I didn't get to watch it all 35 or however long it is. If you guys don't know McNeil Island was the prison island. All right, you go away. You appear. There we go. Prison island here in the Seattle area. Down near Olympia, I believe. Is it this one? Is that on McNeil? Yes, this is McNeil Island here. So this is an island owned by the state. And I think there are a couple of people who are allowed to farm here. I'm not sure exactly the rules. But this is where they sent all of the really, really bad sex offenders. Is they got stuck on this island. And so there's a prison. Is it two prisons or just one prison? Looks like this is one prison complex. This might be another one up here. Looks like there's two prisons. But I don't think they're in operation anymore. I think they are out of operation because it's really expensive to operate prisons on islands. Well, it's easy to keep people from escaping because you can control their environment a lot more. It's really expensive to get resources and personnel and things out there, and you got to ferry them back and forth, and it's just an expensive process. So a lot of prison islands have been getting shut down over the years, but it's more or less abandoned now because they shut it down. And I think there was a prison for sex offenders, and there might have been like a criminal insane asylum, a criminal mental institution for the institution for the criminally insane. I can't quite remember, but yeah. So Topical TV sent me a video of some guy who like snuck onto the island and walked through all the facilities without anyone knowing, which is pretty badass. It's pretty cool abandoned stuff here. But yeah, that's McNeil Island down here. So between Tacoma and Olympia is where it is. And there are other, there's Rikers Island, which is probably one of the most famous, other than Alcatraz, island prisons, which is somewhere along here, right? Rikers. Where's Rikers? Which one's Rikers? Rikers is somewhere in here. Is this Rikers? There's Rikers. Yeah, this is Rikers Island, which is a huge prison complex. But they have an actual bridge, so that makes it easier than having to ferry everybody back and forth. But yeah, this is a gigantic prison complex. You can see how huge that is. How many cars, just how big the parking lot is insane. There's just thousands upon thousands of prisoners in here. But basketball courts, all the amenities you could ever want, right? So, yeah, there you go. Philcoin, Pankaj, since there's not enough money in the entire world to pay everyone, anything could and will happen. It's true. The great thing about money is you just make it up. It's because make-believe. It's Tinkerbell. You just got to clap and make it believe. Grandpa Barney, I'm always late. What did I miss? Did we squeeze yet? Not yet, Grandpa Barney. We're still in that holding pattern. We're waiting. We're waiting for permission to land on the moon. Topple TV, if you need more science nerds to fill out the roster, hit me up. I'm an aerospace dork with time in front of Hollywood camera. There we go. Send them. I'll see if I can send them your way. I told him, like, hey, if you need more people, I am around these people all day long. we can load them up. I know people at Blue Origin. I know people at Boeing. I know people who teach astronomy all over the world. We can do this for you. And they're like, well, okay, well, we'll talk about it. So we'll see where it goes. Oh, why'd you reset again, you jerk? Sorry, just reset. Okay, and cut me off. So if you commented before 2:30 p.m., I don't see your comments anymore. I'm sorry. Meagle says, I'm gay. There you go. Congratulations. Wheatwild. Wheatwild's got some spots for me to look at here. Try to look inside the pub. Interesting. All right. Where are we going? Going somewhere. We're flying around the world. We're going somewhere. I can't look inside a pub because there's no pub there. Are you trying to send me to negative, maybe? Let's see. Let's put a negative sign in front of one of these. Let's see if we go there. Might be the wrong one. That takes us to... Oh, this is a location somewhere. All right. Where are we here? We're in a little town. Is there a pub here? Or do I have to go find another location somewhere? I mean, the odds are that we... Oh, there we go. We are inside someone's front door here. So we are going to go inside. Is this a pub? Or am I just going inside someone's house? Oh, there we go. All right, we're inside a house. There's a living room. Bathroom, okay. Some bunk beds. It's a tiny little house. No kitchen. Got a bathroom. There's the bunk beds. And there's a bed. So, but this doesn't look like a pub. Let's see if we can get to a pub. Oh, there's a kitchenette. There's a kitchenette there. Click go. Go. One more time. Yeah, there's a little kitchenette. Got a microwave and a fridge. All right. Okay, so pub. Where would the pub be? And how do I get to? I don't know if I can just review. Where would the pub be? Let's do that. Nope. Okay. That doesn't help me. It's weird that let's look inside one of those rooms, though. Is that a pub? Let's see if that's a pub. Why do they have a street view for one particular, like, rentable room, but nothing else? That's weird. I don't know how much more time we spend on that one. Try to look inside the pub. Could not see. Chakuseki, Elon, after acquiring Twitter, now sets his eyes on Eurolink, a device that connects male genitalia to Spotify via electrodes and lightning wire cable. Oh, you guys are so weird. What is Elon's ultimate goal with Twitter? Is it just to bring all the assholes back on Twitter? I don't get it. It sounds like Trump's like done with Truth Social, so make sure everybody buy your puts on DWAC. That sucker's gonna tank like crazy. What did it finish at today? Did it drop significantly? DWAC, 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 DWAC. Yeah, DWAC's down $10 from last week. Yeah, it was at 47 last week. Now it's at 36. So get those puts. That company's not going to exist anymore. Bill Coyne, the SEC is smart. Anyone that attempts to unravel the short problem will get blamed when the entire world economy crashes. They fire everyone, even though they didn't really cause it. Yep. Think you're right about that. Meow meow. If brokers go under, then the infinity pool is guaranteed. The DTCC will need those shares to close the shorts. Correct. That's the idea. That's the idea. If they go down, then that stuff is just going to sit as they pass from one broker to the other as they get split up. It's going to be a while till anyone can sell. So the price should go higher and higher and higher. Nut Muffin, Houston. Who's going to pay for the squeeze? And will the brokers go bankrupt or lose money? And what is BOFA? BOFA these nuts. BOFA is Bank of America or BOFA these nuts. Who's going to pay for the squeeze? Well, everyone. Liquidation of assets resulting in buying sprees by some. Brokers, some brokers may go bankrupt, others won't. Others will make a fortune. Especially brokerages whose investment arms are long on these meme stocks. They'll make a fortune. Their other assets under management may shrink though. But the shrinkage of those assets will be offset, so they'll be even Steven in the end. And then ultimately, they'll probably buy more of the blue chips, and then those will rise back up again after time. I like that Reva Swine's answer to Nut Muffin is Nut Muffin, Bofa these nuts. Someone named Nut Muffin knows what Bofa means. Rick Houston, did you hear Gherkin's rant today about MOAS chances being small, and that if it happens, the price won't go as high as people think? What do you think of it? I have not heard his rant. I'm sure someone will send me a link to it. I mean, they're doing everything they can to avoid a big payout. I don't know how successful it's going to be, because everyone on our side is fed up and doesn't want to wait. We want our money now, and that's what we're shooting for. So, I don't know. I'm really curious to see exactly how this dividend unravels. And at this point, all we can do is sit and wait. That's all we can do. We can't do anything else. Just sit and wait and sit and wait and sit and wait. And, that's our life. That's what we're going to be doing. Meow meow. Tell everyone about the amazing underground homes of Cooper Petty for post-match retirement. Yeah, Cooper Petty's awesome. We can go to Cooper Petty. So Cooper Petty is an opal mining town in the middle of the outback. It is extremely hot here. It is just toasty. And so there is above ground facilities, but there's also tons of underground homes. So if you get a mineral claim, you can dig out the hard rock, get the opal out, and then you can make your home at the same time. I don't know if I've not been here yet, but I'd love to go to Cooper Petty someday. Probably just look it up on here. Here, Gotta turn off the Google Earth. Turn on the Chrome. There we go. Cooper Petty underground homes. These things are awesome. So these are all opal mines owned by individual people, and they dig out the mines, dig, and make their own little underground homes in the process. So this is all hard rock that has fractured rock, and silica-rich waters got in there and made these opals. There's also opalized seashells and all sorts of stuff in here. But yeah, so people live underground where it's nice and cool. It's away from that 130-degree heat in the summertime. And they get their opals in the process. So they might have windows on one side, but the rest of it is all underground and has to be fairly well lit for living. Otherwise, you're not going to get sunlight living under there. I'm not sure how great the ventilation is, but there are above ground homes, but there's lots of in-ground homes as well. It's pretty cool. Cooper Petty opals are going to be like your white opals that have little bits of iridescence inside of them. So I'll show you what those opals look like. They look like these. So they're going to be a white, milky white base, and then have opalization as a result. I think I gave away all mine in that treasure. I had a couple of really big ones that were worth quite a chunk of money that the son of a gun who got my treasure got. But they're pretty. The black opals are going to be from Lightning Ridge, which is a different part of Australia. And but yeah, there you go. There's your little opal lesson for the day. Chris R. Can people hold on to shares till it reaches a price they want for Twitter? Apparently not. Apparently, if it is elected that the company can be purchased, they're going to take the shares of your account, stick some cash in there, and that's the sale price. It's pretty messed up in my opinion. But there you go. That's what you get. Okay. Prop keyboard on books make dog proof. I'd have to like put my keyboard to like here. So I need I don't know, have enough big enough books to make a stack that high. Before morning, Houston, I can't foresee MOAS occurring. It would be unprecedented paradigm shift. This stuff is so deeply rigged, regulators would never let it happen. Big money, institutions, and all. It's true. It's very hard for them to let it happen, but if the economy crashes, right? If the economy just takes a nosedive, everyone's screwed anyway. So how are they going to have the money and power to make sure that MOAS doesn't happen? Like what steps, what infrastructure is in place for them to do anything about that? Because if the economy crashes, all these hedge funds are going to be toast anyway. Because again, we're negative beta stock. We're going to go the opposite direction. And all their money and power is tied up in their assets under management. If their assets under management blink out of existence, then what power do they have to keep this going? That's my big question. How? If the shit's the fan, how are they going to make sure that we don't get our payday? Because they're going to lose a lot of their power when that happens. Ben T. Houston, new sub. Do you think it's possible to eventually have film-based IC chips or replace printed circuit boards with polymer films? That's a good question. I mean, we can print circuitry onto films. Can we create a microprocessor in the same way? I'm sure there's someone working on it. Like the most simple way of describing how a microprocessor works is you take two halves of silicon, and in one half you make these like aluminum impurities so that the electrons are unstable and they fire around and they're constantly trying to equalize inside of that thing. That's you do lots of handy-wavy explanations. Say that's the handy-wavy explanation of the basis of a silicon chip. And can you do the same thing in a printed format onto like a film? Maybe on a rudimentary level. I don't know if it would have much processing power itself, being that it's essentially a 2D medium. But I mean, the goal is to make everything thinner and smaller and lighter and stronger, and so I'm sure there's someone working on it. Why not? We can make conductive paint. We can literally paint circuitry and do stuff like that. It's a good question, though. I like it. I like that question. Reva Swine, Houston, I'm a sick person, very close to death, and would love a Bob and Vagine pick from you for last wishes. Well, you know, hold your hand up to the camera and then look inside. Oh, you saw it. Scott Poland, Houston. I was talking with someone from Toronto, and we were talking about the landmass north of Lake Ontario. He was saying the area is like Wisconsin, Minnesota. Have you visited that side of the lake? Not the lake itself. I've been north of there. Go there. Let's leave Australia. And let's go to Canada. Keep going. Keep going. Whee! So, closest I've been is Thunder Bay. And was it Fort George? Is that? So I did, alright. Minnesota. And Fort something along here. Crane Lake, Grand Portage. So, where are you? International Falls? No. No, not International Falls. Fort, what was it called? Fort something. Anyway, went through some fort near the border here, and there's a pulp mill. The border crossing is inside of a pulp mill, which was pretty rad. And where are you? Where are you? Weird border crossing. Frontier, Pinewood. There's a Bumpy Doo. Sprague. Where are they? It must have been International Falls. Huh. Everyone comes to YouTube to watch me just go, huh? Is that where it was? I don't remember. Fort Francis. That's probably where it's. Fort Francis, not Fort George. Fort Francis. Come on, give me some pixels, you jerk. Alright, you've been on too long. We'll get you going again. Come on. Open. 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 There we go. Start back up. Okay. Maybe we'll get our pixels back. Fort Francis. Fort Frank. Okay, so Falls. Ranker, where's Fort Francis? Emo. Emo. Frontier. Pinewood. Rainy River. Fort Francis, he disappeared again. You son of a... Alright. It is in International Falls, okay. So, you cross the border, and you go into this pulp mill. This is a pulp mill here. And this is the border crossing. It is the weirdest thing because you are inside the pulp mill and there's like pallets and conveyors and dudes going back and forth with chunks of wood and paper, and it's so weird. And then once you pass through, you're out of the pulp mill and into Canada. But anyway, going past that, take this big old road, and take it along. You get by Thunder Bay and then head north. So the closest I was to Lake Superior at this time was being inside along Thunder Bay, and then eventually head north and you're into just the wilds of Canada. I did this section on the way back once and getting into Duluth, and Duluth is, in the summertime, Duluth is like the prettiest city in America. I bet it's awful in the winter, but in the summer, spectacularly gorgeous. But I've not been along this shore. I would love to someday. I'm sure the summertime is magnificent and the wintertime is absolutely one of the worst experiences you could ever have. But we did have lots of guys from Sudbury that pop in here on the show. And this drive is the longest drive of ever, going from the Canadian border to Timmins. Just takes forever. How far is that as the crow flies? So 500 miles the crow flies, probably 700-800 as you drive. And it is, you have a town here, and then nothing. There's a town. So you can do 200-300 miles between towns, and you might go from one town that speaks English to another town that speaks French to another town that speaks English, and it just takes forever. So you do not want to run out of gas because you may be hours between seeing a car. But I'm sure this drive is prettier, much prettier, more cool stuff to see. But the drive to Timmins is awful. Michael Steegs. I think you mentioned before that short hedge need to deliver real shares of stock dividends. Is it possible with Rule 003 that only GME will squeeze but not the other meme stocks? Possibly. But if the price of GME rises so much that it increases the value of any of those ETFs that those other stocks are in the same basket, it may bring them up with it. So there may be a little bit of squeeze action from those other stocks as well as a result of GameStop increasing the value of those ETFs. Sorry. Monkey, sorry, the dog, I just realized, somehow got her arm inside of her bandana. And how did you do that? To cut this off of you. There you go. You're free. We're going to get you a new bandana. I'm sorry. You're going to be naked for a while. You're a naked dog. I bet you feel so naked. How did you get your arm stuck in there? No wonder you were walking weird going down the stairs. I just realized that. She's walking down the stairs. She's like wiggling her arm. Now I realize it's because she tied herself up in a knot with her bandana. Was that dog pulling on your bandana, stretch it out? Is that what happened? Okay, sorry. So what happens? I asked the dog a question and I noticed her bandana is all weird. But yeah, so those ETFs, the fact that GameStop is tied into the same basket as some of these other stocks may sort of bring them along for the ride. I do hold out hope that Rule 003 will be sent packing. There are no positive comments. If you scroll on the comment list, you won't find anybody like, oh, that's a good idea. We should totally do this. It's pretty much everyone saying, no, you jerks. What are you thinking? And going from there. Meow meow. Dave Lauer says Rule 3 isn't what people think it is. He considers it benign. I don't know. I don't know why they'd even bother with that rule if it was benign. Like, why even present it? Why even give hedge funds the option of not being margin called or liquidated due to their bad risks? They took those risks. They need to live with those risks and experience the consequences of those risks. That's the entire point of having a free market. Is if you take risk, you have to accept responsibility for that risk and any consequences that come with it. And rule 3 seems like a way of avoiding that for these bad actors. Bodegas are places where they have those cats. But I do follow the Bodega Cats account on Twitter because I follow pretty much all the animal accounts on Twitter I can, because you want to see that stuff in your day. Just little guys curled up on a bag of rice, standing on top of some beers, swatting at people as they try to look at melons. Google better be careful with confetti animations lest they become a gambling madhouse. How far behind am I? I'm only an hour. I'm 45 minutes behind. Okay. Well, see if we can do it today. Okay. All right. Well, there's everyone rejoicing over the second intro that I'll never live down. Okay. Moki's answering question for Ben T. For ICs like CPUs, probably not. The power density is insane, and polymers are a poor thermal conductor. As for PCBs, yes, they already have them. They are called flex PCBs. Yes, the circuit boards do exist. I think the future of complex processing is probably going to be diamond related, because they have a very wide thermal stability. From really cold to like 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit, they can remain stable. So if we can get a cheaper process for manufacturing man-made diamond, we can probably do the same impurity stuff we do with silicon, but with a carbon core of diamond. And blue diamonds are conductive, so if you get boron in there and then you throw in some impurities, I don't know if aluminum will work. Let me look at my periodic table here real quick. Whoops. Go away, Google Earth. All right. So if you look, you can see silicon is just below carbon. So we throw in aluminum as the impurity on that to make sure that there's free electrons flowing around to make those processors work. So if we're doing a carbon on a diamond, we would probably use the boron itself, because the boron impurities are what makes it conductive. So blue diamond is a conductive substance. So yeah, so boron would be what we use. Now, I guess we would have impurities on one side or the other, and that's how we get the flow of electricity. But yeah, they're expensive. Blue diamonds aren't cheap, and if you're gonna make them, it takes a while. You gotta cook them for a long time under insane pressure to create a diamond. But if someone had the money and wanted to make one hell of a supercomputer that was one of a kind and could just crush everything else, they would do it with one of these, because you wouldn't need a cooling system. You could let that sucker get as hot as you want and never have to worry about cooling it off, because if it eventually just become a star, that's how hot it would get in order to damage the carbon and sublimate it into the atmosphere. So that might be your solution, is the carbon. $7.50 nut. When Twitter stock is permanently removed from trading, what's the chance we see a squeeze, perhaps triggering MOAS? I don't know how much Twitter would squeeze itself, and I don't think it would be a catalyst. I don't think it's naked shorted in the way that some of the other stocks naked shorted, because it is one of the big three as far as social media goes. Big four: YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Big five. So I don't think they've been shorted like crazy, like other stocks. But I'd be curious to see which ones are naked out there, right? That don't get their $54 right away. Chris R says he's got no proxy yet in TD Ameritrade. I've not been sent one for my brokerages either, so some people have. So maybe they're just doing it here and there. Oh, I love coming to the chat because I'm always so far behind to where I left everybody to go look for a book I couldn't find. Scott Pollan, how is it that giant salamanders only live in Japan? Well, there's those giant ones that live in the river caves, right? And they don't move for sometimes for years at a time. Didn't one of them go a decade without moving? Yeah, this is it. So here's one of them. Is this the one I'm thinking of? A cave-dwelling salamander known as Ohm has joined a list of the most weird creatures in the world, not moving an inch for more than 7 years. Yeah. Crazy, man. This doesn't say where this one is. Oh, this is Slovenia. Wrong continent entirely. Never mind, I'm getting my salamanders mixed up. My cave-dwelling salamanders. The ones in Japan are blind and huge, so Olm here is the same way. She's just hanging out, not moving. Yeah. Huh. Alright, so mixing up my salamanders. Should have gone to school for salamander studies. How's it that they got so big in Japan? Maybe it's a process of island gigantism, which is a thing that has to do with evolutionary biology and the biogeography of islands. If you guys read my recommendation book a few weeks ago, got around to it, called Song of the Dodo by David Quammen, to talk about island gigantism. And island gigantism is a weird thing that happens when certain creatures don't have predators all of a sudden, and they're in these strange captured environments, and you can get really freakishly large things, such as a pigeon turning into a dodo, or the fleas in Hawaii getting gigantic. If you guys been to the Big Island, and fleas can be the size of a nickel. No, thank you. But island gigantism can come in lots of forms. You can get weird bugs like the gigantic, the big centipedes in New Zealand. New Zealand centipede. I think these are the ones I'm thinking of. The giant ones? Yeah. No, I don't want to sign up for your newsletter, Predator Free New Zealand. But these suckers can be giant, huge, big, giant monsters. And don't get bit by one. They suck. But they can be over 30 centimeters. Yeah, so over a foot long. But you can get weird gigantism. You can get weird giant birds. The largest bird ever was the moa, which was a 9 to 12 foot tall flightless bird in New Zealand that got hunted to extinction. Around when the last moa exists? Maybe 1600, 1700 AD. The last one got hunted. Yeah, that's why certain things can get big. Chris P, can anyone tell me real quick if MMTLP shares leave you with the share once you get the div payout? You will not have, the share will no longer exist once you get the dividend. It's just a placeholder. So the MMTLP will become Oilco. Oilco, when they sell off all the assets, will cease to exist. You'll just have cash in your account, and the share will disappear into the ether, and you'll just have cash. Squamps, big dog head on a keyboard make a great Houston with a problem shirt. I need to figure out how to do merch and crap like that. I have no artistic skill whatsoever, and I rely upon the skills of others when it comes to art. I will wear the art, but someone else has to figure it out. That's not where my genius lies. So Big Dog, you want to pose for a big dog head on a keyboard picture someday and put that on just drool on the caps lock key? Third intro. You won't get another intro to the end of the show. And then it's the outro. But it's the same thing as the intro. B Miles, Houston, do you think ape retailers are buying other shorted stocks the way we are GME? Yeah, of course. There's tons of these plays. There's AMC. There's B-Big. There's Ader. There's Tilray. There's Mullen. There's Sundial. There's CEI. There is BlackBerry. There's Bed Bath & Beyond. Nokia. What other ones? I have a list on my tracker here. So SST, Newegg, Hycroft Mining, Foonware, Gree, Koss, Express, Clover, Sen, Benry's Capital, Marin Software, Root. There's a lot of them, and then there's all the weird penny stocks that have been zombies. Your Blockbusters and Sears and Lehman Brothers, and there's just so many out there, so many. And granted, we should probably all just focus on one of those things, but our attention spans spread all everywhere. Scott Paul and Rosetta Stoned, the Wu-Tang and Cypress Hill Educational Language CD for Kids. You can't understand how I could just kill a man. Phil Bill, Saxo Finance told me they're still deciding if they'll let me vote on GME. I wonder who's going to vote for you if you don't have the right to vote if you're on Saxo. Interesting. Batbones, almost all of Central Florida has no internet. Anybody experiencing this right now? I'm sure if they don't have internet, they might not be on here. They're Batbones. Let's see if there's any news. Big Comcast outage in Florida. Southwest Florida, Central Florida. Big outage reported. A fiber cut is impacting their services. So somehow a big fiber optic line got cut. So Sarasota, Naples, Cape Coral, Leesburg, Orlando, Sebring, and other areas have also lost service. So that's why big Comcast outage of a fiber line. This was updated like 20 minutes ago. So that's why. There's your answer, Batbones. Bex, did Adam Aaron become a massive bag holder with HYMC, or is it likely to go over $3 again? They've diluted a lot. I have no idea. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of FTD T35. The price might jump again, but they diluted a lot. So I don't know if it will go above $3 again. There's a lot of shares out there now. So, we'll see. I mean, I guess the goal is to get the shorts to buy it all up, but the fact that the price isn't very high at the moment means it's not painful for anyone to buy it all up yet. It needs to be painful for that price and that price to go take off. Scott Paulin, release every pot felon and reinstall their voting rights, employment rights, expunge records, and make a meaningful change for the incarcerated. I agree. Nonviolent pot offenders should not be in prison. It's a waste of time, energy, money, and everything else. So, unscheduled baboons. That's the word. Unscheduled. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Unscheduled. That's the word I was looking for. I was trying to figure out listed, scheduled. Sometimes the words fail me. Will there be an isolated island for Mr. Melvin? Maybe if we make one. Okay, where is... I was just to the Grandpa Barney Super Chat. There we are. Okay. Cater King, if the Twitter deal gets finalized and he takes it private, don't the shorts have to close all positions, and wouldn't this perhaps set off a cascade of shorts closing other positions? Yes, if there is a significant number of shorts. So that's how we find out. Deck P. HW, any tips on finding geodes? I'm heading to a valley that's known to have them, but finding one among lots of rocks sounds tricky. Also, happy birthday in May. Depending on, I don't have any geodes in here. So, the geode rocks, when you spot one and you get your first one, you will begin to see them everywhere. I don't know how else to describe it. There's something about the texture on the outside, the feel of them, what they sound like when you knock them on stuff. And once you identify a couple of them, all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's one. And I don't know how else to describe it. And depending on where you're going, you might have different types. Like the big spot here in Washington is along the Natchez River. Give me that Google Earth. Let's go across the United States again. So Mount Rainier. So Bumping River. No, wrong way. Bumping Lake. Here we go. Goose Prairie. Bumping River goes to the Natchez, which goes to the Yakima. So along these cliff lines here on sort of the north side of the Natchez River, there was lots of silica that got laid down on top of older volcanic rock, and there were gas pockets that had formed in these huge thunder eggs. I'm talking like human-sized thunder eggs to be pulled out of the ash, and it's not rock sitting on top, so you have to dig them out. But you'll find them, and they're just these big, giant, a couple 100-pound hollow rocks. You take those suckers and cut them up. Other people find thunder eggs in like washes. So you might go to a valley. I'm just going to pull a valley out of random. So here's some random valley. And let's say that get to, all right, I follow the headwaters of this valley. You get to somewhere like upstream, and you get to a wash in here somewhere, and there'll be lots of cobbles and rocks that, if there's loose sediment, these geodes will roll out and be amongst the scattered other rocks, and you just sort of knock on them. Once you smash one or two open and you see like, oh, that's what they look like on the inside, you're just going to know. I don't know how else to describe it. You're just going to know. And if you go with somebody who's gone before, they're going to be like, there's one, there's one, there's one. And so you guys will see them. Scott Paulin, is an Australia prison island? It was a prison island. When did it stop being a prison island? You know this one, Monkey. Don't you? You do. Oh, you know this one. Yes, you do. Scott Paulin, geodes sometimes have a crack pattern on them that is just a bit more pronounced than the other rocks around them and irregular. non-round shape. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Paco in Houston, how far do you think we are from Squeezy? Well, June 2nd, 6 weeks away, man. I think that if they set a data record after the meeting, that is the beginning. That's a date that can't be avoided, and it's what's coming. So there you go. Tech P's in Ireland. I don't know about where Geodes in Ireland, so that one's going to be on you. All right. Squamps Houston, is the goal with Elon acquiring Twitter to combine all his companies to somehow mess with short sellers or the SEC? I have no idea. Honestly, I can't figure out a reason for Elon to buy Twitter other than, to control people making fun of him. It's like, it is to me like $44 billion of divorced dad energy. I don't know what else what his goal is outside of that. Jantor Gritdall. If Rule 3 is approved, what can GameStop do to sabotage it? What about NFT and blockchain stocks? Why not? Right? If this share dividend does not go smoothly, and there is all sorts of shenanigans that happen, then again, there's the opt-out clause that GameStop has with the DTCC saying, all right, DTCC, you have 90 days to give us all of our shares and to recall everything. And we're going to remove ourselves from your system. This could be the floating of a balloon to precipitate that. We talked about just issuing an NFT dividend alone could be enough to cause that kind of problem. But I'm sure the summer's going to be weird, man. After June 2nd, it is just a hazy fog of what could happen. So we don't even know if Rule 3 is going to get approved. They've got another couple weeks of comments left to do, and we'll see if they approve it. It's hard to avoid looking shady as hell if you approve a rule that no one wants, except for a select few, right? If everyone's aware of it, the comments are overwhelmingly against it, and you approve it anyway, you've got a lot of explaining to do. Granted, these guys could just, be swinging their big old rich guy dicks, and they don't care. They'll do it anyway. They're just going through the motions, and every time they read one of our comments saying, don't do that, they're just like, whatever, stupid poor person. And that might just be how they roll, man. Israel Rodriguez, I sold my DWAC shares last week. Probably a wise idea. I think those shares are going to evaporate. Let me see. Let's see if I can get how much puts are at the moment on DWAC. Show me that DWAC. Wait, where'd you go? Oh, there, DWAC. Okay. So, if I want to do weeklies, let's say May 6th. Oh, well, I could buy that. And drops $10. I'm at 1,000. That's not too bad. Yeah. I mean, make almost $1,000 every $10 it drops. So, yeah. Do what everyone did with Netflix the other week and just buy puts. Not financial advice, not financial advisor. But it sounds like Elon will probably bring Trump back to Twitter. And the then there'll be no purpose for True Social to exist anymore. And it's amazing to me that Trump would forego billions of dollars in assets just to have an audience again. That seems crazy to me. If you or I had access to $1 billion, I don't think we would spend our money on such an ego trip that way. But, then again, we're not billionaires. Maybe our brains completely change when we have $1 billion and you just don't care anymore. Today Elon can complete the trifecta when he marries Melinda and buys Facebook. Black Udon, isn't Elon Musk using some stake in Tesla as collateral for Twitter purchase? What if the value of this Tesla goes down? Who's affected by the drop in the price? Yeah, and he could find himself definitely over leveraged. I was reading that if you wanted to do the full $44 billion in cash, that the banks would take no less than basically $170 billion of his Tesla fortune as collateral. So that's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of leverage to get, 1/4 the amount of cash you need. So he got some partners, I think, are putting up half. So he probably put up 85 billion of his Tesla stake as collateral to do his share of turning it private. So, it's a lot, man. Bex, are there enough apes out there to compound the problems with people not wanting to fill jobs? I know at least half of my own department owns GME. Yes. If MOAS happens and the apes all retire, then the job market will be looking for 4 to 10 million more workers. Maybe even more than that, because I think about like spouses and siblings and all those folks that, if I have $1 billion, no one I know is going to work again. You're all retired, all my friends. So there may be more folks not working. And then you run into that whole UAE problem where you have to import all your workers, right? Because the Emiratis, they don't want to work. So they bring a bunch of people from Pakistan, India, and the Philippines and make them do everything for them. So that's what we may end up seeing quite a bit. Sean Marcos, here's from Monkey Butts Food. Also, will all the GME dividends be real shares? Do short hedge funds have enough time to print fakes with FTDs for dividends? I don't think they can. Because of the way synthetics are generated, isn't necessarily generated from the short hedge fund. The short hedge fund sells something they do not have. And then when it comes time to clear, time to pass cash one way and stock the other, the cash will pass, but the stock won't. And the brokerage who is responsible for passing that stock on goes, oh shit, we got to deliver something. So they take stock from someone else inside their system and they pass that to the other brokerage. And the other brokerage now gets real stock, puts that into account. And then that clock, that T35 clock starts. So if you were in the account on the side where that brokerage was selling naked, or sorry, the hedge fund was selling naked, and you're inside that same brokerage and they took your real shares and passed them along, then when the dividend happens, you're not going to get shit. Not from the brokerage, but what's supposed to happen is that hedge fund is supposed to put the shares in your account because they're responsible for that dividend. And if they can't do that, the brokerage who had to borrow your shares and have someone else, they have to liquidate the brokerage and until enough money is made to put all the shares that are acquired into your account. I don't think that there's a system set up for them to put a synthetic dividend into your account as a placeholder. I think they just have to liquidate. Like if anyone can find a rule or anything that otherwise, let me know. But I don't think they can. I think they have to get you the real share. And if they have to get you those, say, 5 shares of dividend, they may have to get you the real share to go with the one that you originally purchased anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. It's 4 o'clock on my end. Did not. Oh, sorry. Someone sent me a message. Sorry. Okay. Scott Pollen. Are people talking about Elon? How he's funding? Tony Tran, what's your thoughts on Bill Gates shorting Tesla to the tune of $500 million? I don't think Tesla, personally, is a long-term viable company. They've got a lot of promising tech that they can't seem to produce. It takes them a long time to come out with a new model. The models they currently have not gone through any updates. They are rated by JD Power and Associates as the lowest quality car produced in America today. And other car companies with a lot longer histories of making cars and having the infrastructure in place, capital in place to revamp models and to do improvements quickly. And they've got customer service centers and parts distributors and a lot of things that Tesla is lacking. They're now producing really, really nice electric cars. Also in that cheaper realm. So you can buy a Tesla, you can buy a Kia. The Kia is going to be a higher quality standard than the Tesla. It might not be as hip and with it. It could be like, I'm driving a Kia, $55,000 Kia, but I would trust that car long term over the Tesla. And, we've got electric Porsches, and electric Volkswagens, and electric BMWs, and electric GMs, and electric Ford Mach-E's, and all these different electric cars out there that the competition is heating up. And if Tesla's lucky, they'll become sort of like the name brand. People refer to an electric car as a Tesla, no matter who makes it. Just kind of like Kleenex is, if you're using a face tissue, you're using a Kleenex. If you are using a bandage, you're using a Band-Aid. Doesn't matter what company makes it. There's a cross-reference name brand. If you're drinking a soda pop, certain regions just call it a Coke, no matter what it is. And so if Tesla does it right, they can sort of become that one name for all these different versions of the same car from other companies, but they really have to up their quality of production. They have to start updating their models visually and improving upon that build quality. But because as with so many of these stocks, because so many short hedge funds saw the same problem in those fundamentals with Tesla, they all decided to jump in and short attack. Now there's too many of them short attacking. Too many coyotes have eaten all the deer, and the coyote population is going to starve. The deer population is going to explode. So I think that's the realm. And I think Bill Gates was one of those guys that's like, this company is not set up well, short. And now he's stuck because it's been a long squeeze with Tesla. But I understand the impulse. I do. It's really, really hard to make a new car company and make it successful. And Tesla is incredibly overvalued. Tesla isn't even in the top 40 car manufacturers in the world. Yet they're worth more than like every car company put together. That should not work. But what it does is it shows just how high GameStop can go. Because remember, GameStop is completely disconnected from fundamentals. There are fundamentals there. We can see them. We can see they're expanding markets. They're investing in logistics, and they're, creating new tech, and they're doing all these cool things, and they've got money. And when they want to, they can flip that switch and start making profit. But if there's, how many billion of shares are there of Tesla? So Tesla has 887 million shares. So currently, a little more than 10 times the float of. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. 1.1 billion shares. That's how many they have. Okay, 1.1 billion, 2021. So 1.1 billion outstanding shares. So that's 1.5 times the float. A little bit less, 1.3 times the float of, 13 times the float. Yeah, 13 times the float of GameStop. And it's trading over $1,000 a share. So, multiply GameStop by 13 in price, right? Makes sense to me that's what the fundamentals should be for the market cap of GameStop, is that there's just as many fanboys of GameStop as there are of Tesla, and it's in demand. And if the price is disconnected from the fundamentals, why not the actual price of GameStop being worth thousands of dollars a share? Grandpa Barney got a wonderful new bucket truck. All right. When I was a kid, I always wanted one of those. I don't know why, just to drive and, I don't know, look at things. I don't know what I'd do with a bucket truck. Every once in a while I see them up for auction or something at a heavy equipment machinery sale. I'm like, oh, bucket truck. That'd be cool. I don't know what I'd ever use it for. All right. Oh no, Daphne, wrong Scott. Scott Breitbarth is my old roommate who's making the After Dark intro. He did the After Dark intro, or the regular intro, and he did the amazing treasure hunt video that was so good that it cost somebody to find my treasure in 2 days. Scott is, if you need video editing, he is a wizard. He can make something out of nothing, and it's incredible. So I cannot wait to see what sexy saxophone nighttime compilation he's got for Houston After Dark. It's gonna be fantastic. Scott Paul in Houston, can you interview Cosmic Lightning Warrior again? I think he has a crush on you. Sure, maybe we'll bring him onto my show this time rather than go his way. We'll figure that out. All right. Project Sun, thoughts on new understanding of boson's mass considerations? I have not read any papers on that yet, Project Sun, so I have no thoughts on the matter. Let me jot that down so I remember to look that up for you, because I saw you ask that question before and I didn't write it down. Boson mass considerations. Okay. There, top of the list. I look up boson mass considerations. Okay. Well, people talk about the letter that Plotkin wrote to his investors. He's like, I'm really sorry. It's important to own up to my mistakes that I learned from my grandpa, who I named my company after. Oops. Hope you join me in my new venture. Bex is giving the apes shares as dividends. Ryan Cohen's way of telling short hedge funds, here's your potential liquidity. Now convince the apes to sell to you. I think it's more, here's a whole bunch more shares you are now forced to buy, and you have to buy them yesterday. I think that's what the share dividend is. Man, I just like waiting to see where this goes. And where are we going? Where are we going with it? Where are we going, man? Where are we going? I'm so excited. I want to see where it goes. Black Udon, how is there enough margin for these assets under management when there are two major countries defaulting? I have no idea. I think because many of the bondholders haven't declared anybody in default. They're like, oh, we'll issue a forbearance so that they don't have to yet delete those assets from their assets under management. It's weird. Like, you got just hundreds of billions should be defaulting out of China. You have 170 billion plus defaulting out of Russia. You've got so many banks that have gone vaporized that were tied to Russians that just don't exist anymore. I don't understand how these assets under management haven't just taken everybody down yet. It's weird. Scott Pollen. I would be so pissed if my manager lost 50% of my cash and was like, we should have taken our clients' losses into consideration. Oh, it is incredible. It's incredible that you can take a 30-to-1 leverage, right? Like, you can take a 30-to-1 leverage on the assets under management and still lose money. If I made a hedge fund, and the hedge fund just took that 30-to-1 leverage and just bought the SPY with it, my hedge fund would make 24% year over year. It would be more than that. It would be, let's do some calculator here. Let's see how much money Plotkin could have made if he had just bought SPY and went finger painting. All right? Okay. So, Melvin started out with $20 billion. Right, $20 billion. He can do a 30-to-1 leverage. So that means he can take out $600 billion in liabilities. Okay. Now, he took that $600 billion and he just bought SPY with it. He took that $600 billion. He went over to Vanguard, dumped all of that into an index fund that offered annuities. And let's say those annuities just paid out 8%. Okay? 8%. That's it. 8% on the $600 billion in liability that they made. This would pay out $48 billion a year. So, if Plotkin had just taken the $20 billion in cash he got from his clients, leveraged that into $600 billion in margin, took that margin, put it into a Vanguard account, he would make his clients $48 billion a year. He would have returns for his clients of $240%. I don't... Like, why don't you just do that? Why don't you just do that? Not only that, but the buy pressure of dumping $600 billion in cash into something like an index fund with Vanguard will cause assets under management to explode in value as well. So they might see 300% returns if that were the case. Isn't that crazy to think about? Like, had Melvin just avoided short selling and just bought blue chips, a blue chip index, he would have made $48 billion a year for his clients off of that. That's just with 8% returns. But we know the SPY returned 24% last year. So maybe I should go back to the calculator and calculate what it would be if they just did the 24%. Okay, so clear 600 billion, right, times 0.24. So in 2021, had Melvin not shorted anything, and instead dumped everything into nothing but the SPY, he would have made his clients $144 billion. Fucking nuts. That just blows my mind that is what they could have done instead of being nitpicky little warblers and trying to short these companies out of existence. If they just supported the existence of companies, they would have made $144 billion with that $600 billion in margin they had at the start of 2021. Crazy. That's just crazy to think about. All right. Well, there you go. Best investor of his generation. Okay, we're at 4:15. Okay. I got 15 minutes left, folks, before I've got to bail. So let's all hang tight. Chris P., have you been to Quebec? If so, where? I have not been to Quebec yet. I'd love to go. I've got friends that live in Montreal, and I always say, like, oh, I'll make it there someday. The problem is they've got friends that live all over the place, and I always want to make it everywhere, and I never make it anywhere. So, but no, I've not been to Quebec. I'd love to go to Quebec. I'd love to see Montreal. I'd love to go, especially go to Asbestos, because some cool geology in Quebec. The largest asbestos mine in the world is there, and you can find demontoid garnets at the bottom of it, which are one of the rarest gemstones on Earth, and have incredible iridescence. Not iridescence, refractance. Let me go Chrome. Yeah. Oops, I misspelled it. Demontoid garnets. These beautiful, beautiful green stones. Some of them are worth $50,000 a carat if they get big enough. Incredibly rare. One of the royal gems out of Russia, originally discovered in the Ural Mountains. They're found in 3 places: Urals, Madagascar, and Asbestos, Quebec. So, all right. Okay, so there you go. And some of them really cool horsetail structure. So these crazy horsetail. They get these crazy little inclusions in them that are like, they call them horsetails because these wispy little things, and they're just really cool. And they refract the light really well. So if you get a horsetail demontoid garnet, 2 carats or larger, you're probably looking at $10,000 to $50,000 a carat. They're bitching. And they're found in asbestos. So demontoid garnet, asbestos, oops. Asbestos, Quebec. Yeah, so this is some of the stuff you can find it in this andirite matrix. Asbestos rich. I mean, this rock is toxic. It will fucking kill you. You just look at the asbestos. That stuff. So it's what makes asbestos so bad is that even on a fractal scale, it curls in these like little hooks, and they just keep winding each other. So if you breathe them in, even microscopic ones, they hook themselves into your bronchi and can never leave. They're just little barbs. So that's where mesothelioma comes from, and it's just gnarly. So like if you were to have this as an example of like a mineral example, you could never open it from the box. Even the slightest amount of the stuff aerosolizing will give you mesothelioma. And I don't understand how an entire town exists on the edge of this mine. So, yeah. So, here's the world's largest asbestos mine, and there is a town. Like, the town is built on the edge of the mine. It's crazy. Like, how does this whole town breathe? That's just so gnarly. I don't get it. But at the bottom of this mine is really cool demontoid garnets. That's where I want to go visit there, maybe with the gas mask. All right. Okay. I am going to get 10 minutes left. I'm going to scroll to the bottom. Did I miss a blue one? I think I missed a blue one. I'm so sorry if I missed a blue super chat. Or was it? Jantor Grital, thank you for the blue super chat. I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. Thank you. Those don't pop up for me. Okay. So, scroll up a little bit. And so I missed about half an hour of chats. Sorry if I missed your super chat or your regular chats. There's only so much time in the day. Hi, big dog. How are you? Coming to say hi again. Yes, hello. Don't you put your head on the keyboard. I know what you're thinking. Thinking head on the keyboard. I'm just going to give you a noogie instead. Okay. Michael Harrow, bucket truck use. Go as high as it goes and drop watermelons. That's a pretty good use. Maybe water balloon launcher. Send those suckers as far as you can from an elevated position. That's about it. That's all I can think of. Trim a tree that you didn't think about trimming before, but now you have the ability to. Become a mechanized giraffe and start eating foliage. Force the evolution. Okay. Alan Cristo, I bought CTRM. Are shipping containers still in a bad position? I don't know enough about that. What do you think? Oh, you just left a giant drill spot on my leg. Thank you for that. That was very kind. I think shipping everything in general is in a weird position. Just as we were getting ready to finally climb out of the stalled ship problem at our ports, now the port of Shanghai has like 1,000 ships that are stuck. Let's see here. Port of Shanghai backup. Yeah, Port of Shanghai, huge supply chain issues at the moment. So port delays getting worse in Shanghai. So there's 100 ships backed up at Los Angeles. And I think it's 1,000 at Shanghai. Something like that. Here's Nation. What are you saying here? Yeah. Shanghai handles 20% of all exports. So that's a lot. And a lot of the workers are locked down. They can't go anywhere. So there's no longshoremen to move all this stuff. So these ships are just stuck. Nothing get offloaded, nothing get onloaded. So raw materials can't go to factories, and finished goods can't get onto these ships. So Shanghai is kind of screwed at the moment. Oh, yeah, big dog. You just do a panty big dog? Yeah, so I don't know what that means for shipping containers. Are a bunch of shipping containers just basically stuck in limbo? I don't know, man. Okay. Oh, something happened. People are asking what happened to the question. Oh, Josh, did a question of yours vanish? I'm sorry. I did not see if you had something in there. Okay. Seabound's 117, hedge funds are just well-funded gambling addicts playing with rich people's money. Yeah, I mean, hedge fund literally plays with other people's money. Can you imagine the gambling problem you'd have if you went to a bunch of rich people like, hey, I need $1 million from each of you, and I'm gonna go play cards. That's what they're doing. I mean, if you went to them and said, hey, I need $1 million each from you, I am going to go buy a bunch of factories. I need $1 million from each of you, I am going to go buy a bunch of gold. I need $1 million from each of you, I am going to go invest the ground floor of this new tech startup. Like those things seem to make sense, but when you say, hey, I need $1 million from each of you, I'm going to go destroy some companies and livelihoods and see if that works. I'd have a hard time giving someone that money. You can go bother the cat, now he's making noise. Are you gonna go follow him? Is that what you're doing? Everyone's gonna go bother the cat. All right. I hear the spinning wheels of dogs on hardwood floor trying to chase the cat down. Leave the cat alone. Let him live his life. His happy, steroid-filled, giant belly, constantly eating life. He's a good kitty. Kills the mice even though he weighs 1,000 pounds now. Okay. Chris P., if you're looking for asbestos, you should actually look up Thetford Mines. Giant asbestos mines over here. Thetford Mines. Thetford Mines. That's also in Quebec. All right. South Central Quebec. Thetford Mines. Let's look at Thetford Mines. Oops, I forgot to put on the Google Earth. There we go. Yeah, there's some big old asbestos mines. And there's some towns right up against them. So, again, just the Quebecois living life dangerously. Entire towns with mesothelioma, be my guess. If you're wondering what those like mesothelioma commercials are for, it's probably for these people. There was a big asbestos landslide in Washington, I don't know, 25 years ago. There was a rock formation that had serpentine, and it slid down, and they had to evacuate the town because it just kicked up so much asbestos dust. Like, get out. Yeah. But I wonder if you guys have demontoid garnets here. Looks like the mines are over because they're all filled with water now. But probably a great place to look for demontoid garnets in there. Okay. Liz Clayman, who in the right mind would invest with hedge funds right now? Exactly. Emerald Nutmeg near Thetford, you can find pillow lava tufts. All right. Yeah. Wooden Puppet, we got those garnets in Lowell, Vermont. Really? Lowell, Vermont. Where's Lowell, Vermont? Lowell, Vermont. How far from there are you? Probably similar rock formation. Hope they misspell Lowell. Lowell. No, I spelled that. Lowell, Vermont. But is that? How come Lowell's not popping up here? Lowell. I spelled it. Lowell. 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 Oh, there it is. Okay. Now you're giving me there. What did we do it the first time? And there is probably an asbestos mine. So there you go. There's your reasons. I bet that is probably another similar mine. The rock looks similar color. Good old asbestos. Used to be in everything. C'est la vie. B2B brand, how can everyone be of the mind that staying in the market when it is due for a crash is a smart thing to do? Take 4 years off, get back to it when it all rises. Well, I mean, think about the '08 crash. Began spring '08, started to hit really hard in fall '08, and then bottomed out in March 2009. So it took about a year for it to really just hammer everything down. And that's when it just completely bottomed out. And if you had invested in, if you went in and bought the S&P 500 back in March 2009, you would have huge gains by now. So maybe, oh, it looks really bad. When it starts to really crater, look maybe a year out, and that's when we might see a rebound happening again. Yeah. Yogi, my daughter says "bing bong" every time we cuss. It's because of my little pony movie, but it makes me think of Jamie from Trainspotting. Yeah, "bing bong," the price is wrong. All right. BW brand, yeah, it took a year because the government propped everything up. Natural mechanics takes 4 to 10. But we live in a Keynesian economic system, so the government's going to prop it up. They can't afford to have 4 to 10 years of economic depression, so they're going to keep going. All right. I realize tomorrow is Charity Tuesday, and I totally forgot about looking up a charity for tomorrow. Monkey Butt? What charity should we do tomorrow? Anyone got some good ideas? Let me know. Send them to me on Twitter. I totally forgot to think about Charity Tuesday, and that's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Charity Tuesday is tomorrow, Monkey. What are we going to do for Charity Tuesday? What are we going to do for Charity Tuesday? I don't understand. What do we do? Huh? What do we do? Yeah, send me some stuff. Shoot me messages on Twitter. Rick wants to be the charity. Children in need, Robin Hood. Yeah, we can do something for kids' charity. Yeah. Well, the Gorilla Fund. All right. Send me stuff, and we'll think about it. Until then, I'll see you sometime tomorrow. Ooh, charity for pets in Ukraine. That's a good one. That's a good combo. Keeps. We did Ukraine last month, but it got people food. But Chef Andreas, his kitchen got blown up by the Russians. The one in Lviv. So, man. But yeah, let's sex addicts. I'll donate my time for that. Yeah, so let's look at that. And until then, I'm going to give you one of these, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Charity Tuesday. Bring your wallets. Bye-bye.